Hey there, my friends. Joseph Bradley here from CoachJBrad.com. And I just want to, first of all, just thank you for stopping by my page or stopping by my blog, or if you're on my YouTube channel, wherever you found me, I just want to thank you for stopping by. You could be anywhere, but you decided to come here, and that I am extremely grateful for. Over on CoachJBrad.com, our mission is to create world peace by transforming one mind at a time. And so this information that we're actually giving you today is the kind of information that can transform your mind. It can help to change your red light to green, help to get you through those traffic jams of life. And today I just want to talk about something very simple that I know we often use this phrase, we often talk about this, but perhaps it is one of the reasons why we so often get stuck, or even worse, why we never even start. And that is the idea of not being ready. We talk about that all the time. And you've probably said that before, right? You probably said, hey, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready for that yet. And we use that statement, we use that phrase, usually when it comes to something that we're uncomfortable about, when it comes to something that we know we need to do, but we feel like we need a little bit more time before we actually get there, right? And so I just want you to just think about a few times in your life when you've used that phrase to justify something that you haven't started yet, or justify something that you can't start at the moment because you're just not ready yet. I'm reminded of a time, and there's so many stories now that I think about it. I just had this aha moment all of a sudden, and on our daily mastermind, I actually broke down when I really thought about what was going on, and how not being ready has actually prevented me from doing the things that I want to do, and prevented me from starting a lot of things. And that's why it's so important to have someone around you who actually believes in you, and they can see beyond the barriers that are in your mind. Because the story that's in your mind, right? That's a story that you created. It's a story that not only did you create the story, but then you start to tell the story. And I say you, I'm actually included in that. So let's just go ahead and say we. We create the story, right? We then start to tell the story, and then we own the story. And then after a while, power loss comes, because not only did we create the story, not only did we start to tell the story, but then we start to own the story, and we lose our power, because eventually the story owns us. The story owns you, right? And when that story owns you, now you're a prisoner of whatever the intentions of the story is, right? Whatever those intentions are, you're that prisoner. And so today I want to actually suggest to you that maybe the reality is this, that you're not ready, not because you need more time to do this, that, and the other, but you're not ready maybe because you're never going to be ready, right? I remember I started driving when I was 16. Well, I started driving when I was 12. My mom would have me wash her car and stuff like that, and I would pull the car from the garage into the driveway, and then and into the yard, and I would wash the car, and then instead of pulling the car right directly back into the driveway, I would drive it around the block. My mom doesn't know that. Well, she probably does know that, because moms have eyes in the back of their heads and stuff. But I would drive the car around the block, and I would drive everywhere. So I learned how to drive, and then when I actually started practicing to drive, when I got old enough to learn how to drive, I would drive my mom. My mom would let me drive to church, and she would let me drive different places, little small places and stuff. But one place I never drove was the freeway. The freeway just frightened me so many ways. And one of the reasons why it frightened me was because I just felt like the people drove too fast, and I wouldn't be able to keep up. And then, the worst thing would probably happen. So fast forward a few years, it's 2 weeks before my prom, right? And I want to rent a car. My mom said she would rent me a car, but she wouldn't rent me a car, of course, unless I have my license. Now, mind you, I know how to drive. I just don't have a license yet. And so I can drive with a permit, because I do have a permit at the time. So I can drive with a permit. But who wants their mom in the car with their prom date? Like, that's just not going to work, right? So, I'm doing really good. I have all my hours. I did my driver's ed training and all that good stuff. And now the big day comes when it's time to actually take the test for my license. And so I'm so excited because I'm getting ready to have my license. And I knew that I would pass this with flying colors as long as they don't tell me to drive on the freeway. Because that was the one thing, that was basically the thing that I wasn't ready for. Right? I knew how to drive, but I wasn't ready for the freeway. And so we get into the car, and the test isn't that long, it's like 5 minutes maybe, 5-10 minutes worth of driving, and then they know whether you're good enough to have your license. At least that's how it was back then. We went to the one in La Mesa because I think National City they were a little bit tougher. So La Mesa was the place. Went to go hit our went to go drive, and I knew that I would pass this. Right? Got in the car, and the guy in the car, he said, "Okay, let's leave the parking lot and make a right turn." I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah, let's make that right turn." I make right turns all the time, no problem, right? Go down and make a left at the light, no problem. I make lefts at the lights all the time. I mean, I am winning at this thing, right? I'm so excited because I'm about to get my license. Life is all good. And then he makes the announcement, and it felt like he yelled at me. He said, "Okay, get in the right turn, or get in the right lane, and then make a right turn, and then get on the on-ramp to go into the freeway." And I promise, it felt like my heart sunk because my license was right in hand, right? It was right in hand, and then he said, "Get on the freeway." Now, here's a few things, because it felt like time froze at the moment. You know that moment when you come so close. Whitney Houston said, "Give me one moment in time when I'm dancing with destiny." When all that I have is up to me, or something like that, right? I felt like time froze still. I needed my license to be able to drive the rent-a-car to the prom and have whatever privacy we were going to have, but the freeway was in the way. And here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to ask him, first of all, if we could drive around another way, because I would literally go out of my way when I drove. I would go out of my way. I would spend an extra 15 minutes, go an extra 13 miles if I needed to avoid the freeway. That's how afraid I was of the freeway. And I wanted to say that, and I also wanted to ask him if we can just put this part of the test off to another day, and then that way I'd be ready. Maybe by that time I'd be ready to drive on the freeway. But the only problem was I needed to pass this today because my prom was coming up in just a couple of weeks. And if you fail your driving test, at least this is how it was back then, you had to wait at least, I think, a month or 2 months or something like that before you could take it again. So I didn't have the option. So what I needed was a license, and this driving on the freeway was in the way. So I figured, okay, if I drive on the freeway and I win, right, if I live, then I'll leave with a license. And so I got on the freeway, and the most amazing thing happened next, right? I actually drove on the freeway, and I didn't crash. I didn't blow up, right? I didn't get passed up by all these cars that were going too fast. I actually drove right along with them. I think we passed about 2 or 3 exits. And then he said, "Okay, exit down here." And I exited down, and I was like, wow, that was pretty amazing. And it's funny because I look back, that was about 20 years ago. And I look back 20 years later, the lesson actually came to get me. Because, sometimes the lessons that we learn in life, we don't learn them until years have actually passed. And it wasn't until just yesterday that I realized what had happened. You see, I was spending all my time waiting to get ready, while readiness wasn't the answer. Every time I got behind the wheel, I was actually being prepared, right? I was being prepared. And so when I got on the freeway, I already knew how to drive on the freeway, even though I had never driven on the freeway before. And so my question is this: what's your freeway, right? What are you actually afraid of doing that is necessary for you to make it to the next level in life? What is it what is it that you're staying away from because you're not ready yet? So take a look at all the things in your life, because every single experience counts. Every experience is actually preparing you, and it's the preparedness that gets you to the point to where you can effectively do what's needed to be done. Readiness, I just learned yesterday that readiness is actually perfection in disguise, right? So if you're waiting to be ready, you're never going to be ready. And in fact, I've heard so many people talk about I'm ready for this, but they're not prepared, right? Because you can be ready for instance, you can be ready to retire because you're tired of going to work every single day. You're tired of putting up with that crazy boss and tired of working with the people that are that are backstabbing and all this kind of stuff. You're tired of spending the better part of your day underpaid and all that kind of stuff. So you're ready to go ahead and retire, but you've never saved anything up. Guess what that means? That means you're ready, but you're not prepared, right? So readiness is a disguise that either puts us in too early or it actually keeps us out when we already are prepared. The experiences in life are actually taking you to that point. And so ask yourself this question: what is my not ready status keeping me from? Because as T. Harv Eker says, how we do anything is how we do everything, right? So where else is not being ready preventing you from actually taking the plunge, taking the leap, taking the jump? You know, I invite you to leave a comment here. You know, if this has actually benefited you, if you've got something from this video, or maybe there's a challenge that you're facing and you just realize that it was not being ready that's preventing you from actually getting in the starting blocks and going when the gun sounds off. Maybe you've experienced it. Maybe you can look back in your life, because there are reference points in our lives, just like my driving license situation. There's another story about me knowing how to swim, and I didn't even know it because I wore a life jacket for almost my whole life. And the only reason why I knew how to swim, or the only way I found out I knew how to swim, is when I had to get in the pool without a life jacket one day. And then I wondered, how long have I really known how to swim? How long have you really known how to swim? How long have you really known how to drive on the freeway? But your readiness, your not ready status, is keeping you from that. Everything that you need to move forward from this point is already in you, and it's just understanding that you're prepared, that your experiences have prepared you, and you'll never know until you move when the gun sounds off. So I hope this has helped to turn your red light to green. I hope this has helped to actually move that traffic jam for you in your life. Leave a comment below. If you haven't subscribed already to this channel, then go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my blog, then to get your daily mind snacks, then go ahead and click on the link. There's a link in the description here. So go ahead and click on that link. And if you're actually on my blog, then you can look. I don't know if it's this way or this way, but you can see a video that says, or a video, it says Mind Snacks Daily from Coach Jay Brad. Go ahead and enter your name and your email, and you'll get the best thoughts, the best inspiration, the best motivation I have every single day. It will arrive in your email. And whenever I get some other great gems and jewels from some friends of mine that we mastermind and iron out together, then I'll share those with you too. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much. Bye for now.